it's Nina. Thanks for joining me today for a brand new installment of our Simon Says Stamp Funny Friday series featuring art impressions. I'm going to show you how I made this super cute springy card using the Birdhouse Cubbies stamp and die set. This is the stamp and die set. You get the dies included when you purchase the stamps, and these birds are just so cute. What I love about the Cubbies set is that you can customize the image for however you want. So I'm going to use a bunch of the birds from the stamp set and also the birdhouse. Originally, I thought I was also going to use the leafy image that's included in this stamp set, but then I decided later that I changed my mind and wanted to actually add some die cut florals. So goes to show you, we all change our mind when we're creating. Sometimes I have ideas and then I'm like, wait a minute, I think I need to change that up. So I'm sure you do too. What you're seeing me do right now is color in all of these stamped images with my Copic markers. You don't have to use Copics. If you prefer to use another medium, feel free to do so. These will look super cute watercolor if you're a watercoloring kind of person. I'm using a fairly limited color palette. I didn't want too many colors in this card, so that way it had a very cohesive look. So all of the birds are going to get colored in the exact same way. I used some BG markers and then added a little blush to their tummies. For the birdhouse itself, I did use some yellows, 3 different shades to create a nice little bit of shading here. And I utilized my lightest yellow, which was a Y00 yellow. I utilized that to try to maintain some really light areas, which gave this image a lot of depth. For the accents on this image, I decided to use pink for the doors and blue for the shingles and also the hinges of the door. We're going to die cut everything with the coordinating dies. If you go outside the lines on Art Impressions images, what's really nice is that the dies cut the images out right up to the black line of your stamping. So that will hide any mistakes that you might make when you color outside the lines, which I think is really, really nice. I'm using Simon Says Stamp very, very low tack tape to hold my dies in place, so that way none of these are going to shift as I run them through my die cut machine. And here you can see our cute little images, including our birdhouse, which has all the windows cut out, and then the outlines of the doors are also cut out so that you can open and close them, which is super fun. We're going to work on creating our background next, and I've pulled out this SLIMLINE Sunray stencil. It's one of our Simon Says Stamp exclusive stencils, and I'm using that to create some sun rays coming down from the top of my card. We'll remove that stencil and then also ink blend just a little bit more yellow around the top, especially where the center of the sun is, and I'll fade that down a little bit as we go closer towards the center of the card. But I made sure to not get too much that yellow towards the edges because I wanted to create a blue sky. But we don't want these colors to mix too much because of course that would create green. So I very carefully made sure to add the blue and the yellow in separate areas, but let them almost meet towards the center. I'm layering our large raindrop stencil on top of this, and we're going to ink blend these raindrops on top of everything we've just done. Now here you will have a little bit more mixing. You'll see some of the raindrops do have a greenish tint, but we're going to hide some of that with a bit of paste. This paste is going to help blend those ink colors really, really well, and we're going to add a little bit of glitter on top. So you can see I didn't remove the stencil after ink blending. I just went right in with my paste, and that's going to help pick up some of the ink color that's still sitting on the stencil and help blend things really well. As you can see here, I now have some really nice blue raindrops, and the glitter that we're adding is from Simon Says Stamp as well. This is unicorn confetti, and I also used unicorn dust. Both of these I'm just sprinkling on top of the raindrops. I don't want the raindrops completely coated in glitter. I just want them with a touch of glitter, a kiss. These raindrops are going to dry glossy. I used a glossy paste for this. And I have all the products that I'm using today linked below in the video description as well as on the blog, so be sure to check that out if anything I'm using here is catching your eye. You'll notice I die cut these fine petal leaves and blossoms from some white cardstock, and I'm using Copic markers to color them in. Coloring die cuts is a great way to add some really cool dimension and shading to your die cut images. You could of course cut them from some colored cardstock, but the coloring that we're adding here and the shading is matching really well with what we did on the Birdhouse Cubby. So I really like this look. We're going to start assembling everything on top of our background using foam tape. I used foam tape to attach the birdhouse, which means that'll give some good depth off of the birds that are going to get tucked into those little windows and doors. And for all of the floral elements, I used foam tape on the petals and leaves, but then I used some liquid glue down along the bottom of the stems where the stems meet the edge of the card. So that way when I cut off any excess, everything is still attached nicely. We don't want anything lifting up by accident. So I'm trimming off the excess, and you're going to notice we have some holes now left behind, and so we can fill in those little areas with our leftover pieces that we've chopped off. So this is a great way to use up some of those pieces before you throw them out. When it comes to the birds, I wanted to use a mix of foam tape and also some liquid glue, depending on where I'm attaching them. So for this bird that was sitting on the post, I did use a piece of foam tape that was the same dimension as the birdhouse itself. But then like this little guy here, it was a tight little space, so I just used some liquid glue around his head area so that way it would adhere to the birdhouse itself. After adhering all my birds inside the windows and doors, I'm stamping this birthday greeting from the stamp set onto some cotton candy cardstock using our PEONY ink. It's one of our Pawsitively saturated inks, and I did stamp it twice so I got a much darker impression. Then I just fussy cut that sentiment out and stuck it right on top of my card, and then adhered my card panel onto an A2 size card. And that's going to do it. Our cute little spring scene with the Birdhouse Cubbies stamp and die set from Art Impressions is just darling. I love how sweet these little birds are, and it's so much fun to be able to open and close the doors to reveal the birds that are tucked in there. I hope you were inspired by this card that I made. Be sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe if you enjoyed. I can't wait to come back and share more inspiration with you, but until I do, I hope you have a fabulous day, and thanks for watching.
Hi there, I'm Heidi, Simon's mama and founder at simonsaysstamp.com. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you like what you just saw, be sure to press the thumbs up and subscribe to see more great content.